Welcome to Global News on Signature TV. I am Uchenna Chimdi Oluoha. In the headlines, security expert says changing service chiefs won't end insecurity in Nigeria. Father arrested for defiling two daughters in Enugu. Cameroonians turn to social media to voice election concerns. And Argentina's Milei vows more reforms after election. Details shortly.
Every second, every minute, every day, news is breaking, events occur, and there are new developments. At Signature TV, we follow these stories objectively, bringing all sides without bias, explaining the complex issues, breaking down the numbers, and investigating the issues behind the news. Anywhere and everywhere, near or far, wherever the news is, we will be there. Signature TV. News in your pocket.
The expert Yahuza Getso says President Bola Tinubu's decision to sack the former service chiefs will not end insecurity in Nigeria unless deeper structural problems are addressed. Speaking in an interview, Getso described the shakeup as normal and expected, but warned that merely changing service chiefs cannot automatically improve security. He commended the outgoing officers for their openness and progress in tackling insurgency, banditry, and other crimes across the country. The analyst, however, maintained that insecurity will persist unless corruption is rooted out and key government institutions are reformed to ensure accountability. Getso also alleged that some politicians deliberately sustain insecurity for selfish reasons and urged the government to adopt a more community-driven and performance-based approach in security management. The Lagos State Commissioner of Police, Olorundare Jimoh, has warned activists Omoyele Sowore and others against mobilizing protests over the recent demolition exercises in the state. Speaking with journalists at the Iyanoworo axis of the Third Mainland Bridge on Monday, the police commissioner said the command had deployed personnel across Lagos to prevent any demonstrations that could disrupt public order. He cautioned that the police would not tolerate attempts to block highways or disturb the peace in the state, adding that officers have been stationed at key locations including Ojota, Maryland, Gani Farahimi Park, Bagada, Bariga, and Lekki Toll Gate. While acknowledging citizens' rights to peaceful protests, Jimoh stressed that such actions must follow due process and respect the rights of others. Commenting on the recent Oworonshoki demolition, the commissioner defended the government's action, describing the affected structures as illegal and often used by criminals. He accused some individuals of trying to exploit the situation for political or criminal gains and warned that the police would not allow anyone to cause chaos under the guise of protests. Jimoh assured residents of adequate security and urged them to go about their normal activities without fear. In the same vein, human rights lawyer Femi Falana has accused the Lagos State government of demolishing over 100 properties in Oworonshoki despite a subsisting court order halting the exercise. Last Thursday, Justice Adeboyega Balogun of the Lagos State High Court issued an interim injunction restraining the state government, its agents and contractors from further demolitions or creating third-party interests on properties located on Ojileru Street, Ososa Extension, and Toluwalashe Street within the Itesiwaju Ajumoni Community Development Area. The order followed complaints from residents who said they were not compensated. In a statement on Sunday, Falana condemned the continued demolition, noting that the exercise has rendered many families homeless despite the court's directive. Meanwhile, the Lagos State Police Command has denied reports circulating on social media alleging that its officers attacked residents during a government-led demolition exercise in Oworonshoki. In a statement issued on Sunday, the command spokesperson Abimbola Adebisi described the reports as false and misleading, saying they were intended to distort facts and incite public sentiment. Adebisi clarified that the demolition was carried out by authorized government departments and the Lagos State Task Force, following due process and prior notification to affected residents, who she said had already been compensated. She explained that police officers were only deployed to maintain peace and prevent any breakdown of law and order, insisting that no act of violence or collaboration with hoodlums took place. The clarification comes amid reports alleging that police fired gunshots and tear gas to disperse residents resisting the demolition, sparking public outrage over the government's handling of the exercise. Several people have been rescued after a two-story building collapsed in the Oyimbo area of Lagos in the early hours of Monday. According to the Lagos State Fire and Rescue Service, the incident occurred around 12:20 a.m. at 54 Cole Street near Cemetery Bus Stop. The agency's director, Margaret Adesheye, confirmed that a team from the Sari Igamu Fire Station was dispatched to the scene immediately after receiving a distress call. 15 people, 7 men, 4 women and 4 children have so far been rescued with varying degrees of injuries and taken to nearby hospitals for treatment. Authorities said the building had shown signs of distress before it collapsed, while residents were still inside. Building collapses have become frequent in Lagos, often linked to poor enforcement of construction regulations and the use of substandard materials. Tragedy struck in Kano State, where a 14-year-old boy identified as Suleiman Ado drowned in a pond popularly known as Rowan Promise. According to a statement from the Kano State Fire Service, the incident occurred around 3 p.m. on Saturday and was reported by a resident, Gali Mood. The service spokesperson, Saminu Abdullahi, said a rescue team led by Director Sani Anas responded swiftly and recovered the boy from the water. Unfortunately, he was found unconscious and later confirmed dead. His body was handed over to Police Constable Mubarak Ishak of the Rijiya Zaki Division. The fire service extended its condolences to the victim's family and urged parents to caution their children against swimming in unsafe ponds to prevent further tragedies. The Enugu State government has confirmed the arrest of Ozioma Okonkwo for allegedly defiling his 2 young daughters, aged 2 and 5. Okonkwo, an Imo State native residing in Enugu, was taken into custody on the night of Saturday, October 25th, after a concerned citizen alerted authorities. A statement from the Ministry of Children, Gender Affairs and Social Development said the suspect remains in police custody and will face charges once investigations are concluded. The 2 children have been placed in a government-approved shelter, receiving medical care and psychosocial support, while their mother undergoes therapy under the ministry's supervision. The ministry condemned the act as heart-wrenching and unacceptable, and reaffirmed its zero-tolerance stance on sexual and gender-based violence, vowing to bring all offenders to justice. Citizens were praised for their vigilance and urged to continue supporting efforts to protect the rights and dignity of women and children across the state. Up ahead, police clear air on reported abduction of 15 students in Ikote Bene. Former Jigawa State Governor Lamido declares bid for PDP national chairmanship. Details of these and more after the break.
Every second, every minute, every day, news is breaking. Events occur and there are new developments. At Signature TV, we follow these stories objectively, bringing all sides without bias, explaining the complex issues, breaking down the numbers, and investigating the issues behind the news. Anywhere and everywhere, near or far, wherever the news is, we will be there. Signature TV. News in your pocket.
The Akwa Ibom State Police Command has debunked media reports claiming that armed men raided a student's lodge in Ikote Bene, carted away valuables and abducted 15 students. In a statement on Sunday, The command's public relations officer, Tim Fon John, clarified that the alleged abduction was actually a lawful operation conducted by operatives of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, from the Uyo Zonal Office. According to her, police received a distress call in the early hours of October 24th about an armed robbery in Ikotubo village, Ikotekbene. Officers were immediately deployed to the scene, only to discover that the operation was being carried out by EFCC officials. John stated that those taken from the scene were EFCC suspects, not kidnapped victims as earlier reported. She urged journalists to verify sensitive information with the police before publication to avoid spreading falsehoods. The Delta State Police Command says it has recorded a major success in its renewed clampdown on criminal networks, with the arrest of a suspected arms dealer, his female accomplice, and the recovery of a large cache of ammunition in Warri. Police spokesperson Bright Edafe confirmed the development in a statement issued in Warri on Saturday. He said operatives of the Commissioner of Police Special Assignment Team, acting on credible intelligence from the Force Technical Intelligence Unit in Abuja, arrested one Jamila Abubakar at a filling station along the Warri-Patani Road, Efun. During the arrest, officers recovered 550,000 naira, believed to be proceeds from illegal arms deals. Her confession led to a follow-up raid at the Niger Cat area of Warri, where 31-year-old Ahmed Ibrahim, a notorious arms supplier from Epan, was apprehended. The operation also led to the recovery of 115 rounds of AK-47 ammunition, 220 rounds of SMG rifle ammunition, and 32 live cartridges. Investigations linked Ibrahim to multiple armed robbery and kidnapping cases, including the abduction and killing of a woman in Ugeli North in May 2024. Former Governor of Jigawa State, Sule Lamido, has declared his intention to contest for the position of National Chairman of the People's Democratic Party, PDP. Lamido made the announcement in a post on his verified Facebook page on Monday, stating that he would visit the PDP National Secretariat in Abuja to purchase his nomination form. The former Minister of Foreign Affairs said his decision was driven by a commitment to rebuild and strengthen the party ahead of future elections. Lamido's declaration comes amid divisions in the party, following the endorsement of former Minister Kabiru Tanimu Turaki as the Northern Consensus candidate, an arrangement Lamido's camp and that of former Rivers Governor Nyesom Wike have rejected, citing poor consultation. The PDP, which ruled Nigeria from 1999 to 2015, is set to elect new national officers at its elective convention scheduled for November 15th and 16th in Ibadan, Oyo State. The contest for the party's top position underscores renewed power tussles within the PDP, even as it prepares for the 2027 general elections. Meanwhile, a 13-member National Convention Screening Committee, chaired by Eyitayo Jegede, will screen aspirants for national offices on Tuesday, October 28th, ahead of the convention. Members of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, from the Southeast in the House of Representatives have threatened to boycott the party's upcoming national convention if the woman leader position is taken away from the zone. The zone spokesperson, Ikenga Ugochinyere, stated this in Abuja on Sunday, warning that the lawmakers would issue a disclaimer against the convention scheduled for November 15th and 16th in Ibadan if reports of the zoning change are confirmed. Ugochinyere said the party still has time to correct the situation before the screening of aspirants begins. He stressed that no Southeast lawmaker would remain in the PDP if what he described as an impending insult is allowed to stand. He noted that Governor Peter Mba's defection to the APC nullifies the earlier arrangement of giving Enugu the woman leader slot, arguing that Imo State should now rightfully produce the party's next woman leader. Ugochinyere accused a key figure within the PDP, of orchestrating the move against the Southeast and warned that it could alienate the region from the party. He also appealed to Osun State Governor Ademola Adeleke to intervene and ensure fairness in the Southeast and ensure fairness to the Southeast in the party's zoning arrangement. The Anambra State Police Command has announced the arrest of 7 suspected cult members allegedly being groomed to disrupt the upcoming governorship election. The arrest was made by the operatives of the Special Anti-Cult Squad, Enugu, in collaboration with Agunechemba vigilante operatives. Spokesperson of the Anambra State Police, Tochukwu Ikenga, disclosed in a statement that the suspects, all male, were arrested during an initiation ceremony in a bush at Obinagu, Abagana, in Njikoka local government area of the state on Sunday. Ikenga alleged that the suspects were members of the Black Axe confraternity and were being groomed for election thuggery in Njikoka and Anocha local government areas. He said the suspects, on sighting the operatives, attempted to flee, but were successfully apprehended after a swift chase leading to the recovery of a 25-liter keg containing a red liquid substance, a red ritual cloth, 2 wooden drums, and footwear belonging to the suspects and other accomplices at the scene. Ikenga said police are investigating the matter and working to identify and arrest other fleeing members of the syndicate and uncover cult cells within the area. The House of Representatives has summoned key stakeholders in the health, pharmaceutical, and security sectors to submit memoranda ahead of its investigation into the rising use, trafficking, and regulation of illicit drugs across Nigeria. Those invited include NAFDAC, Standard Organization of Nigeria, the Ministries of Health and Aviation, and the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria. Others are major pharmaceutical manufacturers and industry groups, including PMG MAN, Nigerian Breweries, Guinness Nigeria, international distillers, and representatives of the tobacco industry. Law enforcement and professional bodies like the NDLEA, Nigeria Police, Customs, Immigration, Correctional Service, Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria, and the Nigerian Medical Association will also make submissions. Development partners such as the UNODC, WHO, USAID, UNICEF, and UNDP are among international organizations invited to participate. The ad hoc committee, chaired by Oluwatimehin Adelegbe, was set up to investigate the prevalence of drug abuse and trafficking, identify enforcement gaps, and propose lasting policy solutions. Adelegbe urged the public to submit memoranda with recommendations and interventions to help the committee strengthen national drug control systems and safeguard public health. The Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, has asked the Group Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, Bayo Ojulari, to explain the whereabouts of missing oil funds totaling over 22.3 billion naira and millions in foreign currencies. In a letter dated October 25th, SERAP cited findings from the Auditor General's 2022 report, which revealed unaccounted sums of $49.7 million, 14.3 million euros, and 5.2 million pounds in NNPCL's financial records. The group urged Ojulari to identify those responsible for the alleged misappropriation and hand them over to the EFCC and ICPC for prosecution. SERAP also demanded that the missing funds be recovered and returned to the National Treasury within 7 days or face legal action. According to the organization, the Auditor General's report exposes systemic corruption within the NNPCL, which it says has deprived Nigerians of basic services and worsened the country's debt burden. Shegun Owolabi from Taraba region has emerged winner of the 2025 grand finale of the Life in My City Arts Festival, LIMCAF, held in Enugu. The event, which had as its theme, Can We Breathe?, brought together the finest of Nigeria's young creative minds. Correspondent Chinemerem Ikebunam followed the event for Signature TV.
For years, artists in Nigeria have battled the stigma of being seen as idle dreamers. But through platforms like the Life in My City Arts Festival, LIMCAF, that narrative is changing. Now, in its 18th year, LIMCAF have moved from a mere exhibition to a movement giving young Nigerians the courage to breathe through creativity. From just 180 entries as at its inception in 2007, LIMCAF now records over 750 works from 18 states across the Federation, a testimony that art in Nigeria is not just growing, but breathing new life into the society. For the festival coordinator, Kevin Ejiofor, the theme represents a mirror to the struggles and resilience of Nigerian youth, reminding the world that creativity blossoms even in adversity.
We are now arguably the biggest proof everywhere in Nigeria that art is a powerful, proud, valued, and valuable profession of excellence and resilience within Nigeria's creative landscape.
The event was complemented by the presence of dignitaries and patrons of arts, from the former Minister of Power, Professor Bath Nnaji, who chaired the occasion, to the Obi of Onitsha, His Royal Majesty Nnemeka Achebe, whose words charged the young artists to surpass their predecessors.
Art can say a lot, and that's what is so powerful about what is going on here. Many forms of it: paintings, sculpture, photography, carvings, fabric, arts, all kinds. Every time I come here for the finale, I feel so relaxed, I feel so happy. It's one of my opportunities I look forward to in life. So welcome to all these creative minds from all, whatever state they come from, and just keep creating and keep creating. Because if you look at your predecessors, you see where they are today.
In her remark, Ugochi Madueke, the Enugu State Commissioner for Culture and Tourism, who represented the governor, reiterated the state's faith in the power of creativity and its commitment to nurturing young talents.
Enugu State believes in that power, the power of creativity, to renew our spirit and shape our future. That's why we continue to support spaces like this, where young people can dream, question, and create freely.
LIMCAF's 2025 edition also recognized inclusivity, honoring exceptional young artists from primary and secondary schools and awarding the best artists among persons with disabilities across the 6 geopolitical zones. For many, like Ngozi Omei-Jezema, an alumna of LIMCAF, who began her journey in 2007, the festival is not just a platform, it's a foundation that transformed her passion into a thriving career.
Because of that, I was able to apply internationally, and I got award in South Korea, high SLTV award. I have also participated in several that outside Nigeria, both national and I got the best concept idea in the national art competition. I think this is a springboard.
From painting to ceramics, textile to sculpture, over 105 art pieces were curated under the watchful eyes of the jury, chaired by Dr. Anthony Emode, who described the works as vibrant, daring, and deeply reflective of the nation's pulse. The grand finale reached its climax as Segun Owolabi from Taraba region was announced as the winner of LIMCAF 2025, a moment that electrified the hall as the audience celebrated his creative brilliance. On the red carpet, young artists shared their stories behind their works, expressions of pain, hope, and resilience that reflects the struggles of everyday life.
If you look at the theme asked if you could breathe. I feel we can breathe because despite the inflation, the increase and everything, we are still surviving. Like, we are still struggling, we are struggling, we are striving, but yet we are still breathing.
I have these fabrics, which is the cultural attire. This one is tie-dye, this is batik, and all these patterns, they have meanings. This actually symbolizes unity, then love, which talks about how we need it in our society. love, resilience, affection, compassion. So if I'm compassionate about my colleague or illness like this, I will not treat you bad.
Through partnerships, consistency, and a deep belief in the transformative power of creativity, LIMCAF continues to stand as one of Africa's most enduring arts festivals, giving young Nigerians a stage to breathe, to speak, and to thrive. As the curtain falls on LIMCAF 2025, one thing remains clear: art in Nigeria is alive, breathing, and evolving. And through platforms like LIMCAF, the creative voices of the nation will continue to echo, shaping minds and inspiring generations to come. In Enugu, Chinemeremi Kebunam, Signature TV News.
Still to come. Patrick Hermini sworn in as Seychelles' 6th president after runoff win. Do stay with us.
Every second, every minute, every day, news is breaking, events occur, and there are new developments. At Signature TV, we follow these stories objectively, bringing all sides without bias, explaining the complex issues, breaking down the numbers, and investigating the issues behind the news. Anywhere and everywhere, near or far, wherever the news is, we will be there. Signature TV. News in your pocket.
Braces for election results expected later today. Citizens are turning to social media to voice concerns amid protests and rising tensions over alleged vote rigging in favor of President Paul Biya. Online activist Branson Maimo, speaking from Douala, described social media as a crucial platform for expression in a nation where public dissent carries risk. In Bur, in the southwest region, activist Blanche Ibai said she continues posting online despite threats.
Tired of the situation and everybody is frustrated. Like, I think every Cameroonian experiences what we're going through one way or another. Now social media is more popular than it used to be. I mean, it's growing year by year. So we are beginning to find our voice, getting that courage, knowing that, okay, it's left on us to do something about it because it's our country and politics affects everybody, whether you're a doctor, a plumber, a bike rider, or an entrepreneur like myself, a farmer, whatever you do, our lives are basically decided by politics. So if we don't hold our leaders accountable, then we are basically leaving talks to decide our futures, and that's very dangerous.
A lot of us who have come up to speak, people fear for our lives, people fear for our safety, because that is the country we find ourselves in. We find ourselves in a country that is dictatorship instead of democracy. But we don't know what will happen. And we have still decided that despite whatever will happen, we will not keep quiet. We will still speak up. It is time for our voices to be heard. As youths, the future of this country, it is time for us to speak up. We cannot keep living in fear.
While Cameroonian authorities have detained about 30 politicians and activists linked to opposition presidential candidate Issa Chiroma. His campaign on Sunday, heightening tensions ahead of Monday's announcement of results of an October 12th election. Among those detained are Anicent Ikane, leader of the Manidem party, and Jilkam Chameni, a prominent figure in the Union for Change movement. Both had supported Chiroma's candidacy. The arrests come amid mounting clashes between security forces and Chiroma's supporters in the cocoa and oil-producing Central African nation.
The Cameroonians have died. They have died. 43 years is a lot. We want change. We have to respect democracy. The power is in the people. It's the people who decide. It's not Ngongo or Biya who decide. It's the people, it's the people. We have to respect the people's choice. We are not here to fight with them, 43 years old in power. We are tired. What is this? We are citizens.
Argentine President Cristina Fernandez de Kirchner emerged on her home balcony late Sunday to greet supporters following a significant setback for the Peronist opposition in the country's midterm elections. President Javier Milei's party, La Libertad Avanza, claimed a major victory, securing 41.5% of the vote in Buenos Aires province, compared with 40.8% for the Peronist coalition, according to official results. The province has long been a political stronghold for the Peronists, marking a dramatic political shift in Argentine politics. Nationwide, La Libertad Avanza won 64 seats in the House of Deputies, up from 37, according to government figures. Milei said the victory marks a turning point and vowed to pursue reforms his government still considers necessary. Outside Fernandez de Kirchner's residence, supporters gathered to chant slogans and express their concern about the results.
It is not a productive project that provides jobs for people. It is a project based on debt, on taking on debt. I do not see it as favorable for the country. But that is democracy, and this is the result. We have to be tolerant and respect the majority vote. Unfortunately, we have to prepare ourselves for situations that are going to be quite painful.
While Argentina's President Javier Milei on Sunday said his party's big victory in the nation's midterm election marked a turning point and vowed to pursue reforms his government still considers necessary. He invited the country's governors to discuss parliamentary agreements and said dozens of senators and deputies from other parties would potentially reach agreements with his administration. Milei's party cruised to victory in midterm legislative elections as voters backed his free market reforms and deep austerity measures, providing a mandate for him to push forward with his radical overhaul of the economy. The results will also likely be welcome news to US President Donald Trump, whose administration recently provided Argentina with a hefty financial bailout, but have threatened to pull away if Milei did not do well.
We will not only defend the reforms that have been made, but we will also promote the reforms that are still needed to achieve that future. We want to be a country that grows into the Argentina we should never have stopped being. To make Argentina great again. Over the next 2 years, we must consolidate the path of reform we have embarked upon to turn Argentina's history around once and for all. We are now focused on implementing the reforms Argentina needs to consolidate its growth and definitive takeoff, to make Argentina great again. Argentines showed that they do not want to return to the failed model, the model of inflation, the model of monetary issuance, the model of a useless state, the model of insecurity. Argentines said enough is enough to populism. No more populism. I would like to highlight the role of the new Congress, which will be fundamental in ensuring this change of course starting on December 10th. We will now have 101 representatives instead of 37. There are dozens of representatives and senators from other parties with whom we can reach basic agreements.
Patrick Hermini was sworn in as Seychelles' 6th president on Sunday, after defeating incumbent Wavul Ramkalawan in a runoff election. Hermini won 52.7% of the vote, returning the United Seychelles Party to full control of government. The party also regained its parliamentary majority last month, reversing losses from 2015. Hermini campaigned on anti-corruption and pledged to reverse policies introduced by Ramkalawan's administration. He has promised to cancel a hotel project that environmentalists say threatens a UNESCO-listed coral atoll, lower the retirement age from 65 to 63, and implements recommendations from a Truth and Reconciliation Commission that investigated abuses linked to a 1977 coup. Seychelles is Africa's wealthiest country per capita and a key destination for tourism and foreign investment. The archipelago of 115 islands faces high levels of heroin use and climate vulnerability. Hermini previously served as Parliament Speaker from 2007 to 2016 and was arrested in 2023 on witchcraft charges that were later dropped.
We may be a small nation, but we are a nation with a big heart. And in that heart, love for Seychelles unites us. Just as Dr. Martin Luther King stood decades ago, tonight I too stand atop a mountain, and I have a dream, a Seychellois Creole dream, for a nation where unity is our strength, dignity our habit, and justice our daily existence. A nation united in our Creole culture.
It was wonderful. It's the first time in our country that a president has shared this moment with the crowd, and that's why I'm happy.
We, the youth, know that he has always delivered on his words. He has always kept his promises and worked alongside us, and today we're just happy to be here.
Kosovo's parliament failed to elect Albin Kurti as prime minister on Sunday, increasing the likelihood that a snap election will be called to break a political deadlock following an inconclusive parliamentary vote in February. Kurti, the leader of the Vetenvedosche party, who is currently serving as prime minister in a caretaker capacity, received only 56 votes in the 120-seat parliament, 5 short of the majority required to form a government. Opposition parties, the Democratic Party of Kosovo, the Democratic League of Kosovo, and the Alliance for the Future of Kosovo, voted against Kurti's candidacy. It remains unclear if the country's president will ask the second or third place party to form a government. Both of them have said they think a new election should be held. Opposition parties have refused to govern with Kurti, criticizing his handling of Kosovo's relations with its Western allies and his actions in Kosovo's ethnically divided north, where a Serb minority lives.
We are now faced with a situation where the new government is being proposed for a vote, not as the product of a political coalition, but as an act of service to the country. This vote is not merely a political formality, but a state responsibility. Without the approval of the new government, the republic will be forced to go to new elections, it will not have functional institutions, and without an approved budget for the coming year. The lack of political dignity, meaning the inability to accept the simple and logical fact that he does not have the numbers, votes, to form a government, is not the end of the world. For 8 months, they, Kurti's party, have kept Kosovo paralyzed with various excuses over a government they do not have, for something they still do not have support.
Turks in Istanbul were divided on Sunday in their reaction to the announcement by the Kurdistan Workers' Party, PKK, that they are withdrawing their forces from Turkey, with some welcoming the decision and others expressing skepticism. Mirak Taylan, an 18-year-old student, said the steps by the PKK so far have been correct and that they should continue in order to end the decades-long fighting between the Turkish military and Kurdish militants.
PKK's decision to withdraw from Turkey is correct. We don't want PKK in our country. People truly fear for their life and property. In other words, I believe all forms of the PKK should be outside the country. And, God willing, we don't want to see a PKK or any terrorist organization in our country in the future. In my opinion, this is a good move, steps taken by the PKK to end fighting. I don't believe any of it. None of it is realistic. We've never seen anything realistic. More to the point, we don't believe it. It would be nice if it were done, fighting ends. They can't do it. I don't believe it. I don't believe in anything. As long as there's misery, the PKK won't go.
PKK militant group said on Sunday it was withdrawing from Turkey as part of a disarmament process being coordinated with the government, pressing Ankara to move ahead with steps allowing it to enter politics. The PKK, which has waged an insurgency against the Turkish state since 1984, decided in May to disarm and disband after a call to end its armed struggle from its jailed leader, Abdullah Öcalan. US President Donald Trump landed in Tokyo on Monday for the second leg of his Asia trip. Trump said on the same day that he was looking forward to meeting with Japan's newly elected Prime Minister, Sanae Takaichi, who was a great ally of the deceased Premier Shinzo Abe. Trump is scheduled to meet Japan's Emperor and Takaichi as part of an Asia trip aimed at securing trade deals, investment, and increased defense spending. China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi on Monday called for stronger global governance and multilateral cooperation in the face of mounting global crisis while speaking at the Lanting Forum in Beijing.
The clearest message of the Global Governance Initiative is to harness the power of unity. Today, more than 50 conflicts of various kinds are taking place around the world, and over 100 million people have been displaced. A world entangled in chaos needs stronger global governance more than ever. Blind faith in the supremacy of power and a fondness for coercion and bullying will only push the world toward a jungle-like environment where the strong prey on the weak, thereby destabilizing the foundations of the international system and rules. The most resolute stance of the Global Governance Initiative is to uphold the banner of multilateralism. Multilateralism is the cornerstone of the current international order and the pathway to promoting peace and development. Frequent withdrawals from international organizations and agreements, and the obsession with forming exclusive blocs, have posed unprecedented challenges to multilateralism. Yet the course of history cannot be reversed, a multipolar world is on its way. We support the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, AIIB, and the new Development Bank of BRICS in playing a greater role, serving as useful complements to existing financial institutions in jointly safeguarding global financial stability. In the face of major crises and conflicts, the UN Security Council has not been able to effectively respond to the expectations of the international community. As a permanent member of the Security Council, China firmly supports its reform and maintains that the correct direction for reform is to increase the representation and voice of developing countries.
Forum comes days before multiple world leaders, including US President Donald Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping, will attend the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit in Gyeongju, South Korea. The two presidents are expected to meet at the summit to sign off on terms of new trade negotiations between Washington and Beijing. Prime Minister Robert Fico has said Slovakia will not take part in any European Union program aimed at financing military help for Ukraine in its fight against Russia's invasion. Slovakia stopped state military aid for Ukraine when Fico's government came into power in 2023, but has still allowed commercial sales. Fico differs with European Union states on the war, saying a solution is not on the battlefield. Fico criticized EU sanctions against Russia for its war in Ukraine, saying they hurt Europe more. Slovakia and Hungary, both buyers of Russian energy supplies, now face navigating US sanctions on Russian oil companies, Rosneft and Lukoil, due to come into effect next month.
As the Prime Minister of the Slovak Republic, I refuse to allow Slovakia to take part in any financial scheme aimed at helping Ukraine manage the war and military spending. Korkak, former Slovak Foreign Minister Ivan Korkak, and others can shout not even a single bullet. Yes, not a single bullet for free. If they want to buy something from us, we will sell it. Why not? If the USA Today has full warehouses of weapons and says buy from us and give to Ukraine, if we are able to produce something of that kind, then please, whoever wants to, let them buy from us. That means not a single bullet. It means no lethal aid will go to Ukraine for free, and we will not participate in any scheme that would lead to us financing Ukraine's military needs. Slovnaft is not a crude oil purchaser. Slovnaft, after its privatization, which happened a long time ago, ultimately came under the Hungarian company MOL. It is Hungary that concludes specific agreements, and MOL is the one that buys crude oil. Therefore, all these decisions are unfortunately made in Budapest and not in Slovakia. You know, we are currently working very intensively on signing an intergovernmental agreement with the United States regarding a nuclear reactor and possible cooperation with American companies. We are in close contact with the American administration and expect these contacts to culminate in some meeting or perhaps a small summit. We are not buying crude oil, that is a Hungarian refinery. The only problem could be that we will be buying more expensive crude oil. And everything will be more expensive. That is the result of all these sanctions. So, it has been confirmed again that the one against whom the sanction is intended is not harmed, but we, who invent these sanctions, are harmed.
President Vladimir Putin's special envoy for investment and economic cooperation, Kirill Dmitriev, said on Sunday that he had continued talks with representatives of President Donald Trump's administration in the United States. Dmitriev told reporters on October 24th that he was in the United States for a long-planned meeting. Dmitriev, a Stanford-educated former Goldman Sachs investment banker, is one of the most US-savvy members of Russia's elite, with close relations to some key members of the Trump team. Dmitriev said that Russia's economy was in good condition with low debt and that this information needed to be conveyed to the United States.
We have been negotiating with representatives of the U.S. administration for the third day, while in the United States. We're clearly communicating President Putin's position that only constructive, respectful dialogue will bear fruit, and any attempts to pressure Russia are simply pointless. We're seeing titanic attempts to disrupt any dialogue between Russia and the U.S., and to sow disinformation. From an economic perspective, we're explaining the state of the Russian economy, which is in good shape. As we know, Russian economic growth was over 4% last year, while the UK and European economies grew less than 1%. The ruble, among other things, has strengthened by 40% against the dollar this year, becoming the best-performing currency of the year. Russia's debt level is also much lower than that of many Western countries. We also convey information shared by Russian agencies, specifically information on other areas of activity. In particular, there are attempts to block this information from reaching U.S. leadership. Specifically, we reaffirm that a resolution to the Ukrainian conflict is only possible by addressing its root causes, as President Putin stated very clearly in his speech to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. We have also already managed to convey to our American colleagues information about President Putin's meeting with the General Staff this morning, where the President was informed that 5,000 Ukrainian troops are encircled near Kupiansk, another 5,500 near Krasnoarmysk, and about the successful testing of the completely new Burevestnik nuclear-powered missile. It is crucial that this information is being conveyed directly to the leadership and key personnel in the U.S. presidential administration. We are also communicating with those representatives of the American community who are committed to a positive dialogue with Russia. We held a meeting with Congresswoman Anna Luna yesterday, and she spoke in favor of dialogue with Russia. She is grateful for Russia's provision of the Kennedy files, which has provoked a very positive reaction in American society. She also confirmed the desire to hold a meeting between American congressmen and representatives of the State Duma, which will be organized soon and is an important dialogue between the parliaments of our countries. All our discussions are conducted in a very serious tone at a very serious time. We are committed to constructive dialogue and to clearly communicating Russia's position on many issues. Yes, Russia wants a peaceful solution, but it certainly requires respect for all of Russia's interests. Addressing the root causes of the Ukrainian crisis is the foundation.
Next is Sports Reports with Christopher Lele.
Enugu Rangers Football Club were on Sunday held to a goalless draw by Kwara United Football Club of Ilorin in a match day 10 encounter played at the Nnamdi Azikiwe Stadium, Enugu. The encounter saw Rangers International drop valuable points in the league. Despite creating several scoring chances, the team failed to find a breakthrough against a resolute Kwara United defense as they held on, thereby securing a point.
And a chance for Rangers. Iguilo. Shoot, boy. Essien! Essien Emmanuel sends it to the skies.
Rivers United manager Finidi George has written his name into Nigerian football history, becoming the first Nigerian coach in 7 years to lead a domestic side to the CAF Champions League group stage. The milestone came after Rivers United defeated Black Bulls of Mozambique 3-1 in a thrilling second leg clash, sealing their place among Africa's elite clubs. The victory marks Nigeria's long-awaited return to the group phase, the first since 2018 when Yimba International achieved the feat. Finidi, who took charge of Rivers United earlier this year, has revitalized the team with his tactical intelligence, discipline and strong motivational leadership, qualities that have earned him widespread praise from fans and football stakeholders. The Egyptian national team will face Nigeria on the 14th of December at Cairo Stadium as part of their preparations for the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations. The Egyptian Football Association said on Sunday that the friendly was arranged at the request of the coach Hossam Hassan, who wanted to test his side against one of the continent's heavyweights ahead of the tournament. Senegal were initially scheduled to take part in the tournament but withdrew, paving the way for Cape Verde to join. Egypt have been drawn in Group B for the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations alongside South Africa, Angola and Zimbabwe. In golf, England's Charlie Hall helped the world team defeat Japan in the 3rd and 4th place consolation match at the Life Plus International Crown event, with Australia defeating the USA in the final. Hall dominated her match against Ayaka Fury, winning 4-3 to conclude her week with a record of 3-1-1 at the New Korea Country Club. The victory was followed by a 3-2 win for Lydia Ko over Ryo Takeda as the world team reached the 2-point threshold first and secured 3rd place. That's Sport News on Signature TV. I'm Christopher Lele.
That's the news this hour. I am Uchenna Chimdi Olwoha. Coming up next is E-Vibes.